So let's get started. I watched a show called This Is Us, and I was getting pissed off because every male except one has healthy communication and is emotionally stable. That's telling of who I'm accustomed to dealing with. Yeah. So when I got into the whole world of polyamory, one of the things that I did was I wanted to understand, like, okay, what does this look like? What are the pitfalls? What are the things? Help me understand, Google. And I found some really great podcasts and stuff. And I found there was a book called More Than Two that I really liked. And all of the things that I encountered in this research, More Than Two is very, very specific. And I highly recommend if people are looking at communication and wanting to do better, read More Than Two, whether you're polyamorous or not. It's not like a textbook that will make you a nympho sex fiend. But polyamorous people have to communicate, especially if you want to do so ethically and honestly. You have to communicate and you have to understand boundaries and all of these things. And these are concepts that are directly attributable to anyone who is in a relationship, one or more partners, doesn't matter. Monogamy, we don't really stress that people need to do this kind of work. And our society is very clear about how a man is supposed to be and how a woman is supposed to be. And, the idea of being poor at communication and not emotionally stable, those are not things that our society is very good at convincing men to do. And I've been victim of that. I have been a poor communicator. I have been emotionally not even unstable, but just undeveloped. When I got married at 19 and I was a fucking child. And it was a not good marriage, and I learned to just sort of hide every aspect of my emotional reaction to things, and just I am a rational person. I don't need to react emotionally and all that kind of stuff, rather than learning how to deal with emotional experiences. Right. This is why I keep talking about wanting to start like a panel conversation about men's issues from a non-incel, non-MRA, non-pickup artist perspective, and just to be like, hey, guys, let's talk about some shit, because we need to do better. And, we're not listening when women say you need to communicate better. Maybe we should listen when a man says it. Maybe that's the thing that's missing. I haven't seen This Is Us, but yeah, I can say that the idea of a show with a bunch of male characters who have healthy communication and skills and emotional stability definitely would seem like some strange ass fiction to me. And all of the internet suddenly hated Jim for saying a thing. I'm a member of 2 of the 3 sex clubs in Calgary. Only one isn't severely misogynistic. Nothing makes my clam dry up and slam shut faster than men who think they have a right to my body. Gross. That I do not doubt. I certainly don't pretend that polyamory is free from misogyny, free from like the immediate example that comes to mind is the old unicorn, right? So me, I've got my lady wife, and the two of us like to go to the clubs and look for a third, some pretty little vixen who will let us do things to her. But 9 times out of 10, it's that guy who is controlling the conversation, and the guy is saying, "Well, no, we're gonna get a third, but it's got to be a woman, right?" I wouldn't feel comfortable with like a man. I'm not a cock, and I don't want to get like a penis in my bum. So, it's we're just opening our borders by me having a lady that you can have sex with too. And that dynamic, everyone talks about the three-way concept, and it's so really not guaranteed to be problematic, but often problematic. For Let me paint a picture. Sally and Dave are in a relationship, and they're in love, but there's problems, and there's realities, and they decide, what, we want to explore opening up our marriage a little bit. Nothing is wrong with this. Rather than reading a fucking book, they decide they're going to head to the bar and find the mysterious lady who will want them both sexually. And the way this presents, I've seen this play out a million times. I'm sure everyone's seen this play out a million times. The way this presents is the woman goes out with the man and she looks around and she sees a girl she likes and she wiggles over all wigglefully and is like, "Oh, you're pretty." And the girl reacts either with revulsion or interest. And, or neutral, in which case interest is implied by the receiver of the feedback as opposed to the person giving it. So what I say, Sally's like, "Yeah, let's get to know each other a little better." And then along comes Dave and he's like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Sally's husband. It's cool. We're open." And the next thing you know, there you have this triad. And isn't it wonderful that you have Sally and Dave and Juniper? What happens if Juniper decides she doesn't like Dave, but she's in love with Sally? So Dave's probably not going to be okay with the idea that Sally and Juniper get together and there's nothing in it for Dave. So that's not gonna work. So you wind up in this coercive environment where Juniper has to spend time with Dave in order to spend time with Sally, or any combination thereof, and that's just bad. That's coercive relationship. I'm not into that, and I feel like we have a lot as a society to learn about misogyny, and I feel like people shut the fuck down when the word misogyny is used. They just like immediately get all, whatever. It's real. Toxic misogyny hurts men too. Toxic misogyny tells us that we're not allowed to have emotions, right? I'm a child of the 80s where the 80s man mythos of a man who was in touch with his feelings was met with as much mockery as anything else, right? Ooh, 80s man. 80s men are all gay. That was the world I grew up in. So yeah, supposedly the 80s men was supposed to be more evolved and more open and honest and communicative and understanding of their own emotions. And he was clearly just a big gay homo queero. And that should be troubling for, as a fella, heterosexual, cis-normative fella. It troubles me that it's not common for people to actually, want to have a conversation about this stuff. This stuff isn't rocket science. We're, as a guy, I want to be emotionally evolved. I want to understand the things that are happening inside my heart muscle and my brain muscle. I want to get all of that. I don't know why that should be construed as a negative. Some of the best shit I've ever done in my life was therapy, because I didn't understand the things that were going on inside my brain muscles and my heart muscles. And so I talked to somebody who could help me understand this shit. And it was like super beneficial to me. So I don't see why it's a bad thing. All it means is the community values the male perspective more than anyone else's. So it's not just the man that is problematic. It's people who don't call that shit out too. And I think that the other piece we're so used to, and yeah, I absolutely agree, by the way. I think that we're so used to the idea that when we're talking about patriarchy or we're talking about misogyny, we're leveling the criticism at men. And we're not. We're leveling the criticism at society, and a society that has built itself on some very toxic concepts. The idea that emotions are a form of weakness for the ladies, but women can do that because they're the weaker of the sexes, blah blah blah. I don't think that men having emotions is a bad thing. And men are harmed by the idea of them, any emotional reaction is weakness, right? That does grave harm to men.
First off, I want to say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Thank you to my patrons that support me on Patreon. I am a little streamer, and these people are all really awesome for supporting me. Thank you to I Am Canadian. Special, huge thanks go to my one prophet, Shithead Dave Anderson. And of course, my final tier of supporters is the Gods. This tier is the most expensive and likely to never have any members, but Patreon really told me I should have one, so it's true, I guess. There are no gods. I try to put up stuff at least once a week, and I live stream every Saturday at noon Mountain Time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, like an old man. Again, thanks for watching, and have a kick-ass day.